This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Mark. And today's guest has unusual mentors. It's Dan Montgomery, and he's got a new album out called Cast Iron Songs and Torch Ballads. But we start off reminiscing about the great state of New Jersey and how local radio was a huge influence on him back when stations would play a wide variety of genres and styles. He started playing in bands at the tender age of 14, and Dan gives a few wild stories from some fun and some frightening gigs. But after years of playing in bands and developing some unhealthy habits, he took time off from playing. That's when he got into tour management, and it actually helped him get clean. He talks about ill-fated moves for marriages and jobs that didn't work out, but did help his writing, how a gig in a yarn store ended up in marriage, and how his biggest mentor started out as his meth dealer. I also find out who the Von Crack family singers are. Dan's sound has always straddled the line between country and roots rock, playing a lot of acoustic guitar. But buying a Dan Electro guitar online on a whim gave him a ton of inspiration and solidified the electric sound on his new album. It's definitely one to check out. And you can do that at danmontgomerymusic.com, on Bandcamp, or look him up on Facebook. Look us up at Performance ANX on Twitter and Instagram, Performance Anxiety on Facebook, or reach out at theperformanceanxietypod@gmail.com. We like to get coffee at ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety, and merch is available at performanceanx.threadless.com. Now prepare to possibly meet your new mentor in Dan Montgomery on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Ready to go? All right, this is Dan Montgomery here in Memphis, Tennessee. Got a new album out called Cast Iron Songs and Torch Ballads, and really happy to be talking about it here on Performance Anxiety with Mark Shea, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Cool, thank you. If you can put up on my Jersey accent, have fun.
Excellent. All right. Thank you for that little bit of patience. My dogs are, I don't know. They're one's pretty smart. The other one's pretty not so smart. But
yeah, we've got a dog and 3 cats. So.
Well, they've both figured out how to get out of the kitchen den area that we try to keep them in when I do this, and it gets a little more challenging every time I do it.
I have a question for you. I'm really untechnical. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at this thing, but all I'm seeing is me. How do I get rid of me? Do you know?
Try swiping to the left. Or touching your screen. There, you got it? All right. Oh.
No.
Now I see your screen.
All right, we're just going to do it without seeing, I guess. Sorry. Oh, God, it's just me again.
Okay. So
you're okay on your end, right?
Yeah. So what are you seeing instead of me?
I'm just seeing me, which is really off-putting.
Tap.
Oh, wait, I think... No, it's not it either. Okay. Are you good on your end?
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Okay, cool. I'm set now.
Okay. So
I can see you. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay, cool. No problem. You know, it's different on every platform, too, how things change.
Oh, I know. It's like like tomorrow, the next day I have to do one, it's on Skype audio only or something. And it's like... And like I said, I'm really untechnical, so besides like promoting a record, I'm also learning a lot of like stuff I should learn. I would say the one time I regret not having kids is when I have like computer or phone problems.
Yeah, tell me about it. Well, I mean, my kids are able to help, but I know what you mean.
Exactly.
But then they look at you like, how do you not know this?
How old are your kids?
18, 19, and 20.
Okay. Yeah, I had a friend posted this thing recently. She said about, she's probably like somewhere around 30 and some young kids, and they were getting ready to go on a trip. She said, just to be safe, she printed out some maps, and her kid's like, what are you, a pirate? It just never occurred. You couldn't like be on your phone and figure it out.
Oh, man. It's just changed so fast. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I know. When I started touring, I was a sound man for a band in the 80s, and, none of that technology was there. So when I started touring, I still didn't even have a cell phone or anything. And my then wife was just freaking out about how can you do that? And I'm like, I've always gotten where I need to go. I never missed a show yet. But now everybody expects you to be instantly able to contact them. So it's a different world.
It is. I don't particularly care to be contacted all the time, no matter where I'm at.
I know. I mean, the greatest invention of my lifetime, I think, is caller ID.
Yeah. Oh, tell me about it. And now I get ones on my phone that just says scam likely. Like, oh,
yes.
Excellent.
I had a funny one that came up scam likely, and it was from like a payphone. It was my ex-wife calling for money. I just love it's not likely. It's pretty much a
for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Definite scam. Definitely.
Yeah.
Now you're in Memphis right now, right?
Yeah, I've lived in Memphis for about 20 years now.
Okay, but that's not where you're from originally. You're from South Jersey?
No, I was born in Philadelphia, and then I was the last of 4 kids. We moved to South Jersey right after I was born. So basically, I grew up in South Jersey, a town called Pensacola, which is right next to Camden, New Jersey, which is the river, and then Philadelphia. So So basically, like especially since The Sopranos and things like that, if you say you're from New Jersey, people start referencing all this North Jersey stuff.
Yeah,
and it really. Yeah, I don't, not in a political way, but it's almost like the station seceded into two halves a long time ago. but I really think that the arguing point was who was going to get Springsteen and who was going to have to settle for Bon Jovi.
Exactly. I grew up in Jersey too. I spent like 13, 14 years there right in the center of the state. So
where at?
Right on the border of Somerset and Hunterdon counties. So,
okay, sure.
So I was in Branchburg. So it was Went to high school in Somerville.
Okay, sure.
So I'm familiar with...
So before we get any further in this, are you South Jersey or North Jersey?
We always said it was Central Jersey. We kind of didn't like either of them.
Okay.
So
take a side, my friend.
Oh, we straddled the line. But that was everybody in the area was just like, no, we're Central. Everybody from South Jersey, it was like, you might as well have been south of the Mason-Dixon. And everybody from North Jersey was like New York.
Yeah. Exactly, and people in North Jersey really look at us like we're hillbillies.
Yeah, so. I know, it's ridiculous.
But and it's funny because a lot of people are like, especially a lot of my earlier records, they're much more acoustic based, and and people are like, well, where did that come from? Go up New Jersey. I'm like, South Jersey has a huge country and bluegrass world in it.
Oh yeah,
the world's oldest, or at least the country's oldest continuous running rodeo is in South Jersey.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, in Cowtown. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Cowtown Rodeo.
That's funny. See, some of the biggest country music fans I knew ever, and I lived in Alabama for 10 years, and some of the biggest country music fans I've ever met were some friends of mine from South Jersey. So it was a huge scene. I mean, I played in lots of country and bluegrass bands here and there over the years because it was just, there was more gigs doing that at one time than doing punk rock or anything. Wow. But country music isn't what you started with. So you started playing when I guess I should ask, when did you start playing music and what was your first instrument?
I mean, just guitar. There was a piano in my house, but I never really learned to play it or anything. I just recently got one again, and so I'm trying to learn that just to expand my writing, not to be a piano player. I don't think by any means. I tried one song live recently. I got by on charm, we'll say that. But guitar would be my answer. My brother was 2 years older than me. We shared a room, and he played guitar, and I wasn't allowed to touch his guitar, but he had friends and I didn't. So he would go out and play, and I would play his guitar. So, and I remember he had 2 songbooks. There was 2 songbooks in the house. He had this giant Paul Simon complete songbook, which is like, every time I looked at it, it was like 8 chords for every syllable, and then my mom had a Hank Williams songbook, and I was like, oh, this I can get with.
Yeah.
So, but radio wise, I grew up when it was still AM radio, and I had 2 older sisters who are 10 and 12 years older than me. So they grew up with one was really obsessed with doo-wop and all that kind of stuff, the Philly, soul world.
Yeah.
And my other sister was very much into, the British invasion thing. She was right at that age and all. And then, so I grew up just, Philly AM radio was, it was just, you would hear the Beatles and the Stones next to each other, but you'd also hear Johnny Cash or the Supremes on either side of the Beatles and the Stones.
Right.
So it never occurred to me how to do one thing or another, and most of the musicians I listen to, if they had long careers, they usually, it's spider webbed out into different things. You either do one thing your whole career or you do a lot of things,
Right, yeah. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Before you skip over this ad, give me 1 minute. Like most podcasts, I pick sponsors carefully, and I use the products that advertise here. Pure Spectrum CBD is a product that has been really beneficial for me. They have a wide variety of great products that can be used on a daily or as-needed basis. I've been using the tincture every day, and it's been wonderful for easing anxiety. And I absolutely love the isolate. I use it instead of acetaminophen or ibuprofen, and it's worked so well for the relief of aches and pains. They also have soaks, lotions, salves, gummies, and more, plus an entire line for fitness recovery. They even have products for your pets. See everything they offer at purespectrumcbd.com. And if you have questions, they're there to help. They helped me when I had no idea where to start. After you fill your cart, use code PERFORMANCEANX for 15% off your purchase. Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD, Pure Spectrum CBD.
And so I started playing when I was in bands when I was 14. I was always the youngest guy.
Okay.
And, but it was, in New Jersey back then, South Jersey, certainly, it's almost probably still not that different now. You had to play cover music. It was almost illegal to play original music in Philly. And it was funny, 10 minutes away in Philadelphia, you couldn't play cover music. You had to play, if you were in town, you had to play original music. So,
man.
It was very interesting how the things got divided up. So I was in a band when I was 14, and everybody else was, a junior or senior in high school. But we were playing, Bad Company, Grand Funk, that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Which, as now people refer to as classic rock, but it was just rock then, because that was like, they were the new records then.
Right.
I refer to it as the pre-Freebird rock. Even if Freebird existed, the cult of Freebird hadn't taken over yet.
Oh, really? Okay.
And I have nothing against Freebird, but it was just that thing where every band had to do it. I got out right before that became the thing.
Okay.
Because I'm not a good enough lead guitar player to pull it off, I'll be honest. Yeah. And the thing nobody ever catches about Freebird is, because growing up in New Jersey, you see a lot of bands cover it. Any really good lead guitar player can play those riffs. It's actually the drummer that makes the difference.
Oh, really?
Because that solo goes on and on for a long time, and it's every, I think, 8 bars that the drummer breaks up the rhythm of it. And that's what makes it exciting.
Oh, okay.
So when you just have a guy going dop, 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 dop all the way through it, it's okay, but it's just kind of willy all night,
Yeah. It falls short of the original.
Like Ernie and Emily. It's like, Ernie. I'd never heard that before, but he's like, okay, kind of Ernie and Emily over there. I'm like, ooh.
I never thought of that. I
never did either, but yeah.
That's amazing. So I read that during one of these gigs, your drummer almost got into a pretty big mess.
I think my second ever gig, we were playing a party at somebody's house. I'm 14, so he's 16, maybe 17 at the most, our drummer. He's a junior in high school. And while we were playing a couple songs of the set, we're playing in this basement, and there's a sliding glass door to the backyard and pool behind us, and it's dark out and all. And we get done a song, and this guy is knocking on the glass door at our drummer kind of menacingly and waving a pistol.
Whoa.
And apparently, and he just looked up, she goes, play some acoustic songs. I went out there and settled something and came back. And apparently he had been caught fooling around with this guy's wife, which he was only a junior in high school. It was shocking and impressive at the same time.
Yes.
And he got away with it too. So that was the thing. So,
Yeah, that doesn't fly anymore, does it?
No. People are more apt to use those guns quicker these days.
And then it's going to take a little more action with that wife and
it was crazy. And it was just, and so those are the kind of things that started happening at gigs, and you just kind of take them as, that's part of the job, sometimes, things go really crazy and you just keep playing.
Gunplay. That's, part of the job.
And, I'm sorry, the guy's got a gun, but if you're dancing, they're dancing. They're just going to have to wait until till another song to shoot somebody. I'm sorry.
At what point did you move from playing covers into what we had mentioned a little earlier on is tour managing? Because you started working with Ben Vaughn. Yes,
there's kind of a big jump in there. Like I was playing as all through high school and in various cover bands and stuff, and then right towards the end of it, like I said, I was always a younger guy, so everybody was starting to graduate and go out into the real world. Some been playing and some not, and everybody was kind of splintering. I got really into punk rock because that happened. I got real obsessed with Patti Smith and television, things like that. And then other guys in the band got really into fusion. One guy got really into country. So it was just not, everything just went separate ways. And I started going to a lot of shows in Philly because the punk rock thing, everything was very accessible. You go to clubs and they didn't even necessarily card you or anything, which was really fun. And I played in some bands here and there, and nothing that really came of anything. And then I kind of took a break for a few years and got into some very bad behavior that kind of took over everything. And right as I was kind of coming out of that, I met Ben, and in a record store, and a mutual friend introduced us. We started talking. He was looking for a sound man, and I really didn't know anything about running sound, but it was 1985, and he wanted somebody that he could train, because right then, at that point, club sound people were always putting gated reverbs on everything to make it sound like In the Air Tonight, And the Ben Mon Combo's drum kit initially was a snare drum, a hi-hat, and a hubcap. That was the entire drum kit. And they would still try to add all those effects to me. So I really got hired to just turn things off. I was really hired as reverb police and just grew from there.
Nice.
So I was doing that for a while. And it also became a really funny thing in that I'm probably the only person you ever meet that got off hard drugs by going on tour with a band.
Oh, wow.
Because they were just guys that drank beer and stuff, and I didn't know what I was doing. I had my wits about me, and I had to handle money and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was like, I have a reason not to do this. So that was a really easy, quick way to clean up, oddly enough. And I spent about 5 years in a van. I was sound man and then eventually road manager and whatever else needed to be done. And it was really great. It was really fun, and I learned a lot.
So was this before you started playing back in bands again, like Drugs Before Breakfast and Del Pez?
This was right. Yeah, this was right after I toured with Ben for about 5 years, and I made one of those fatal errors of, I need to have a real life kind of thing. So I tried doing that for a couple of years, and it did not go well. Mostly for the other people around me. And then I started playing. I played in a band called, I hadn't touched a guitar in a long time at that point. And a friend of mine named Peter Stone Brown, who was a Philadelphia singer-songwriter and a music writer, he kind of coerced me into joining a band he had called the Fumblers, just to play rhythm guitar. And out of that, I started playing with other people, and I started playing with a drummer named Joe Ankenbrand, who'd been a lot of like the early Philly punk bands and stuff. And we put this band together, and he named, I have to say, called Drugs Before Breakfast, which is funny because I just gotten clean, and I was like, now I have a band called that. Right. I was like, I can't invite my parents.
Right.
But we only did a few gigs, but we got a lot of notice, and then I had it still trying to keep this thing of a quote unquote normal life. I just ill-fated moved to Michigan to try and save a marriage that didn't work out. And when I moved back, that band reformed, and it eventually morphed into a band called Del Pez. It was kind of less punk rock and more like what they used to call pub rock in England, which was a little more like Nick Lowe-ish, kind of, his early band, Brinsley Schwarz, kind of more roots rock.
Right.
And then I started doing a lot of, just out of wanting to do more, I started doing a lot of solo gigs. And I had this another ill-fated move to California. Only ill-fated, I had a job waiting for me in Joshua Tree out in the desert. But my move coincided with being 2 weeks after 9/11. And by the time I got out there, they didn't tell me they'd put a hiring freeze on everything.
Oh.
So I got all the way out there and literally had no job or anything. So it was a very strange time. But it actually kind of started me up with a lot of writing again, because I was kind of stuck out in the desert for a couple of months, so I could figure out what I was doing. And that led to my, a lot of songs are on my first record, Man from Out of State.
Okay.
He ain't staying from where he came. He's been walking for so long. And these cells all look the same. It don't matter where he's been. He ain't from round these ways. 30 days and he's out again. He's the man out of state.
And because I was doing a lot of moving around, I kind of based everything on being able to be songs that I could play just by myself because I didn't know when I'd have a band or where I would or not.
Oh, okay.
So it kind of, everything got kind of shrunk down in size because of that. I wanted to be able to represent what I was, what I was finally doing as far as records go. Because it took a long time I started recording. So I wanted to be able to, like I said, I wanted to be able to represent them live as best I could.
Well, I went back and I've listened to that and I love that song. That album is great. And the title track is my favorite song.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that was written while I was stuck out there in the desert. And I literally, because I was out there and then I didn't get the job. And then I had this really old Jeep and it died. And I was stuck at a friend's house, but he was working in Hollywood and couldn't come out even to visit. He was working on so many TV shows doing music that I was literally pretty much completely by myself for almost 3 months.
Oh, wow.
And it was $50 to get a cab into town to get groceries, right? I only did that once.
Oh my God.
So that song came out of that and watching a lot of rerun, like my friend had a lot of VHS tapes of the original 60s TV show, The Fugitive. So between all that, I think that's where the kind of the noir aspect of that song came out of.
What I find really interesting is, especially after listening to the new album, that you've got this roots rock sound and see Man from Out of State, and then you release 5 more albums in a similar style, but like You'll Never Be a Bird, which was apparently your 3rd attempt to make that album.
Yes.
Sin, Repent, Repeat, Gone, Smoke and Mirrors, and a concept album of Rosetta Please, which is a really interesting story.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's the funny thing. It happens a lot with my writing because the Smoke and Mirrors album is also a concept album.
Okay.
And which is one of the reasons that the 3rd album took so long. It was originally going to be that album and I couldn't figure out how to write it yet.
Oh.
So that's why one of the reasons that got made. That's one of the reasons it got made 3 times.
Okay. Wow.
But yeah, the Rosetta story is something that happened to me when I was probably, based on an incident that happened to me when I was probably 21 years old, but I didn't write it for another 20 years because I just.
Oh, really?
Just one of the things I don't, I'm I'm very fastidious about my concepts or I'm lazy as a writer, one or the other. It's however you want to choose it, but I don't rush these things. Like a good example is Sin, Repent, Repeat. There's, I think, 13 songs on that album. It was originally going to be a double album when we were doing it.
Okay.
And half of those songs are songs that I wrote back when I still lived in New Jersey, when I was in that band Del Pez. But I never had a rhythm section when I was living in Memphis to do those songs. So I never wanted to sacrifice the song to the wrong recording method, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand
that record, half of that record was from those songs. So half of those songs were like 20 years old, which felt like cheating. So on that record, anytime there was I used an old song, I had to write a new song to balance it out. So
okay, I can understand that. I can totally get that.
So yeah, like I always say, my writing room, my office is more like a chop shop than a writing room. It's like because I just piles of notebooks. And I'm like always going through old notebooks. And that's a terrible song, but that one line isn't bad, Wow. So. And I'm too disorganized to put it all into a computer.
Yeah, we talked about that a little earlier, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
One of the things I've really enjoyed about all the music is your really direct, sharp, down-to-earth lyrics. It goes with the music, but the lyrics are really relatable because they're so direct. Good.
That's the whole idea. I mean, I'm just a guy from New Jersey that pretty much lied his way into graduating high school. So like, I can't believe any PhD. Like my wife has a PhD in anthropology. I can't even spell PhD. You know?
Oh my gosh, my daughter would. That's what my daughter's going to college for.
It's a tough one to make a living at.
That's what I told her. But she's going to Penn State for it. So.
Oh, good. That's a good school for it.
Yeah. So one of my favorite examples of your lyrical style is Prison Rodeo.
If I'd known it was this much better, well, I'd have crossed the state line with my first crime. They got a TV, and they got books, they got a gym, not just a yard. There's no such thing as easy time, but some just ain't as hard. Told them
Thank you. Yeah, no, like I said, now that is from that record, Smoke and Mirrors. That was a concept record about a guy who was eventually became one of my great mentors in life. He was about 25 years older than me, but he started out as my meth dealer. So it's a very odd combination. And he's also a convicted bank robber. And that's how the Prison Radio thing, because a lot of it was spent, being up for 3 days at a time, sitting around a table, listening to stories about this guy, and it was, and Prison Rodeo was pretty much based on just stuff he's told me over time and put together into the song. That's one of the songs I'm really, really proud of. It came out really pretty much exactly how I think I wanted it,
It's fantastic. It's such a great story.
But, it helps when somebody gives you the story. It's like, like Man from Out of State, I concocted on my own. So, but Prison Rodeo, there was a story to base it on. So, yeah.
So you've got all these albums that are roots rock. I don't want to say acoustic based because you do have some electric songs in there, some rocking songs. Oh
yeah, I think there's a thread building through them if you listen to them.
Yes,
it's not like a just one day, like I went to Newport and I went electric and everybody went crazy. Something, Now it's funny because when I started playing electric guitar again, people here in Memphis that knew me as a guy playing mostly acoustic guitar were kind of like, wow, that's really different for you. And when I go home, for years, people are like, when are you going to play electric guitar again?
Yeah.
So, because it's all just perspective and when you knew me. And basically any song on the new record, I can play solo on an acoustic guitar. And it really gets down to that because if you can't do that, then you have a riff, not a song.
Right, yeah. Exactly.
And a good riff is great, don't get me wrong. But, if you can't just sit there and play on a guitar or piano or even a cappella or something, then you don't really have a song. You just have a thing,
That's a good point. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. With the release of Pheno Barbie Doll, would you say that you kind of focus more on the rock side of things? Is that more of a shift in focus for you?
Well, two things because of that. Pheno Barbie Doll is funny. We recorded that while we were kind of working pretty hard on the Smoke and Mirrors record. And it was just, it had nothing to do with the concept of it. It was just a fun thing, kind of just like blew the cobwebs off us as we were working on it.
Okay.
And then it was just there. And I thought, we'll put it out as a single someday. And I have an old friend, longtime friend who is a DJ on Little Steven's Underground Garage, named Palmyra Del Ram. I've known her for a long, long time. She's from South Jersey originally. And that station has passed on all my records that I've ever sent them. It's too country, or if I send it to the Outlaw Country station, which they also own, it's too rock. So I really wasn't even thinking about that. But Pheno Barbie Doll was just, it has this total 1972, 73 T-Rex glamour thing.
Yes.
And my friend Palmyra is one of the world's biggest T-Rex fans and always has been since they were a new band. So I just sent it to her on a whim because I thought she would get a kick out of it. And she was like, oh, no, we're playing this.
Oh, nice.
So that's how that started.
high as the moon, sang a strange little tune.
And it was, and it's this very up-tempo, fun song. And I do have to say that at some point, like, I don't disavow anything I've done before, and I stand by it all. Mm-hmm. But it did not go unnoticed that the most up-tempo, toe-tapping thing, kind of fun thing I did was also the thing that got the most notice. So it was like, it's fun to get people toe-tapping and up and dancing, So it's like, and it's also a thing of, I've done this other thing a lot. It's all there, and I'm not turning my back on it. I'm not disavowing it or anything.
Right.
But it's just like on the new record, there's a song on Cast Iron Songs and Torch Ballads. There's a song called Beaumont.
Yeah.
That I'm really happy with. It probably has one of the bigger productions we've ever done. But we could have easily done that as just an acoustic-based song, but it would probably sound very similar to several things I've already done. Right. So what's the point?
Yeah.
Once he flipped out, she started to slip out. And after he shipped out, well, she just skipped town. She told me, I gotta get to Beaumont tonight. Can you help me, friend? If I can get to Beaumont, I can set things right. I'll never have to ask again.
So that's, it's as much to keep it interesting for us as anybody else. If we're interested, I think it makes the listener more interested.
Oh, for sure.
They feed off of that energy loop and it feeds back to us. So it wasn't a conscious decision. It's like, we're going to rock from now on, gentlemen. It was just, like, oh, that felt good. Let's do more of that, maybe, if anything. I don't think it was anything that conscious. And the new album, Cast Iron Songs, it was weird. Like the Smoke and Mirrors record, the week it came out was also the same week the country shut down.
Wow.
And so, our tour we had a big tour that was all canceled. Yeah. And it was also, as that it was happening, we had a health crisis here at home. And it was not COVID related, but it's been very all consuming, especially the first 2 years of it. So I really didn't have any time that I was thinking about writing or recording or anything. And I wasn't even thinking about any of that. And as things started to ease up a little bit, I got this 1959 Dan Electro convertible electric guitar I bought online just on a whim, which I've never done before. I tried to be really great. And all of a sudden I started noticing, like I said, like just lines that were just kind of randomly written down, or I'd put it in my phone. I didn't remember ever writing it or coming up with that. So I just started putting everything into one giant notebook and then going, oh, well, that line will go with that line there, and turning things around. Okay. And also I had to start the songs. But because of the pandemic and everything, we recorded our drummers. He has a studio in his back house where we rehearse. We've done the last probably 3 or 4 records there. So we only had very short periods of time available where we all could get together. And we're not the kind of band to phone in our parts. We like playing together, So all the basic tracks for Cast Iron Songs were recorded in 4 2-hour sessions.
Oh, wow.
It's a very live record because that was the available time I had or other people had. So also that kind of negated a lot of the introspective acoustic-based things in some ways that way, because we were just knocking it out. And I would just send them, I'd record a demo of the song on my phone and send it to the guys that week that we were getting together, send them 2 songs, and we would just do it. And then the last day we had a little extra time. They're like, do you have anything else? And I didn't, but I had an idea for something. So there's a song on the album called In for a Penny. And that is, other than the maracas and the harmonies, what you hear on that record is completely live, the second take, including the lyrics, which is making it went along, thinking I would change it later. And it's also pretty funny because Robert Miche, who's my co-producer and mostly the lead guitar player, most of the songs, we record in such a small space that his amp is in the bathroom of our recording space. It's near, he can hear it, but we don't play with headphones when we record. I never hear what he's playing. And so we go back and listen to it. I was like, oh, that's really cool. But I have no idea what he's doing.
Oh, that is awesome.
It's crazy. It's like he's just that good. You know. And I've been a huge fan of his I first saw him play with a guy named Steve Wynn.
Oh, I love Steve Wynn.
Dream Syndicate. Yeah, I was a huge Dream Syndicate fan. When Steve Wynn went solo, Robert was the lead guitar player on his first 2 albums and toured with him for quite a few years. Oh. And I saw him playing with Steve in Philly in 1991. And I was like, that guy's one of my favorite guitar players. And like 20 years later or whatever, he walks into this coffee shop in Memphis that I'm working at. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
And now we're in a band together. So I was like, it's
amazing.
Yeah, it is really amazing because like I said, if I had a list of 3 top guitar players that I've seen live that I could actually pick from, he was in that top 3, certainly. I remember
around that time, I don't know, it was early to mid 90s, I saw Steve Wynn live. I was living in New Jersey at the time. I can't remember where it was. Damn it.
He was on guitar, you know. And then he joined there's a band called the Continental Drifters. He was in that.
Okay, I've heard of them, yeah.
Yeah, they were kind of like a early roots rock kind of super group. Because it's funny because they're doing a reunion gig at Jazz Fest this year in New Orleans.
Oh, cool.
All based in New Orleans because it was Robert was in it. It was Peter Holsapple from the DBs, Susan Cowsill from the Cowsills, wow, and Vicki Peterson from the Bangles, and Mark Walton, who was the bass player in the Dream Syndicate.
Oh my gosh!
Funny because the Dream Syndicate just did a European or a UK tour a couple weeks ago, and Vicky became their lead guitar player for that tour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because her and Steve, I think, were roommates before either of their bands happened or anything. So it's just kind of looped, and I'm now have kind of a sideways way into it now. It's funny.
You're a relative.
I came up like just worshiping. Yeah, I was a huge Cowsills fan as a kid. It was a real full circle moment.
That is awesome. Well, I did want to ask you about one song before we get into the new album, because I love Crack Home.
That's one of
so
our
amazing.
Live favorites.
I don't get no good night kiss. None of my friends live like this. His daddy smokes rocks, mama shoots down. I take Ritalin to keep my feet on the ground. There's always someone hanging around, you never alone. It's not a crack house, it's a crack home.
It's funny because I recently did a solo version of that, a solo gig, and a friend of mine has heard it a million times. He went, I never noticed how dark that song is.
Yeah.
So wasn't all the fanfare around it. That's been a really, the story with that's funny. Another good example of how if I get a good line, I won't rush it, is that the second day I was living in Memphis, so that's 20 years ago, I was walking around downtown, I think it was Beale or Maine or something like that, and this very drunk guy stumbling by me, and on a white T-shirt, it was just scrawled with a Sharpie. It just said, "It's not a crack house, it's a crack home." And I was like, "Well, that's a song." But I never had, because I never knew what to do with it. But I had it in my notebook, and a few years later, it just went, "Oh, from the kid's perspective," and then house home. Okay, that's when I would use that. So.
That is awesome. Oh, see, it pays off to just hold on to some of this stuff.
Well, yeah, because it probably, if I wrote it that day, and I probably could have, but it would have been probably a funny song.
Yeah.
And just that. And this way, I think it has a lot more layers to it the way it is.
Absolutely.
Because you can have fun. Because when we do it live, like, it's a sing-along, like, or a shout-along. Everybody, because, the chorus keeps repeating more each time.
Right.
People love to do that. And we did that, like, when we started doing that live before we recorded it, it already caught on like that. So we, on the studio recording, there's a bunch of people that were just fans of ours that used to do that at shows. We brought them over after a gig to record it. So they became known as the, I think they're credited as the Von Crack family singers. And then the other really weird thing on that song is there's that chant at the end. It's a fact. Nobody wants to know you if you live like that. But it's 2 9-year-old kids singing it.
Really?
Yes. It was Robert and Candace, who also sings with his wife. It was their kid and one of their friends' kid.
Oh my God.
And we just did a couple tries. So it's got this kind of like Children of the Corn thing. Yeah. And the funny thing, the kid's idea.
Oh, really?
It would be really cool if we did this here. Like, wow, that would be.
You kids are born producers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Lucky they were too young to want points on it.
Right. So you've got the new album out, Cast Iron Songs and Torch Ballads. And you've mentioned a few songs that are on there. And the ones you've mentioned are the ones that I love the most. There's Beaumont. I keep coming to that or Baby Your Luck's Running Out are one of those two are my favorites. It just kind of depends on when I'm listening, but those are the two that I absolutely love the most.
I'm not the kind to run into a fight. There's better ways to be burned. You can't help someone else if they won't help themselves. At least that's what I've learned. That's what I've learned.
I might know why.
Oh, yeah?
Even though they're very different songs, the same, and they're not true stories necessarily at all, but the same person kind of inspired both songs.
Oh, really?
Yes. Who once said, they're not the most flattering portraits. And I was like, well, you can't spell muse without use.
I like that.
Yeah.
I've never heard that one before.
But it's funny because the Beaumont thing, the chorus of it was real. It was a friend of mine who's, shows up every now and then needing help in a situation.
Right.
But it was actually San Antone they were trying to get to. But I was like, it does. San Antone is a dance hall town. It's not going to sound desperate enough. So it became Beaumont. For some reason. I needed a dustier town, And Baby Your Luck's Running Bad. And that's the funny. That's actually the first thing got written for the record in a way. It wasn't written for the record, but it's the first thing got written in like 2 years. And there's a literary group in Los Angeles called Library Girl. Okay. A woman named Susan Hayden runs. And it's a writers collective thing. And every month they do this performance. They'll have a theme and they'll read something by certain writers. And there's usually musical things that go with it. And I performed at it before when I was in California on tour. But they were doing video stuff during lockdown, like stream stuff. Oh. So she asked me to contribute a song, and the theme was pre-Hays Code bad girls of the movies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I was like, and I was looking at some of those movies, and I was trying to think of somebody now, and I thought of the right person, and I could kind of incorporate that in with, and that's the song that came out of it. So I recorded just a solo electric guitar vocal version of it, and we did a video for it, and that got posted, and then we decided to use it on the record. And it was really nice because it's probably the best vocal I've ever done, which I've never said about anything. It's like, this is the first album, and I'm not saying I sing good on it, but it's the first album where at the very last minute, I didn't beg Robert, can I just re-record all the vocals? Please. He's like, no, you're done,
Well, Baby Your Luck's Running Bad is so soulful. It's got that like a blue-eyed soul feel to it, and I love it. And
it's one of those things where it's funny because Robert didn't notice it until he was mixing it and having to hear it over and over again. One day he just called me up and was like, this is your really meanest song. Like, that person's not a nice person. I'm like, well, I'll tell you something in my catalog.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's the thing. I like that when he goes, the really pretty melody and the chords and there's the vibes on it and all.
Yeah.
But something very bad is going down in it. Like
there's that dichotomy.
It works.
It is, and it's like I said, and Beaumont sounds like it would be a blast to play live.
Yeah, we've done it live once now, and it was really fun. And I can't wait to do it more and get used to it. Because the funny thing is also, like I said, because the way we record this record and my free time has been, until recently, has been very minimal. We recorded that record in 8 hours, basically. And then some overdubs and mixing. And other than Beaumont, we haven't played any of those songs live yet.
Oh, really?
Because, we decided we were going to do it on vinyl and all, and the wait is so long.
Yeah.
We didn't want to burn ourselves out with it. We weren't really gigging because it wasn't really anywhere to gig for a long time.
True.
That it's just because, like now, it's funny because several of my band members are off doing other tours right now or other musical things with other people. So it's like we have to meet up sometime next month to learn the record. Oh. Like I'm spending every night relearning the record just to make sure I don't want to be the guy that comes in and doesn't know it the most and the guy that wrote the song.
He gives names on the album.
So I spend every night, like this week, it's like, I'm going to really hunker down on the first side. You know?
You mentioned In for a Penny earlier too. I love that beat. It's got a Bo Diddley type of beat.
And that's exactly how it, like I said, we had some leftover time when we were recording and they were like, you got anything else? And I was like, Bo Diddley beat and F sharp.
No.
And that was it. Yeah. I remember a friend of mine later when I told him that story, he goes, man, your band must hate you. I'm like, why? He goes, who wants to play lead on Bo Diddley and F sharp? I said, didn't bother Robert. He couldn't even hear his amp. He seemed fine with it.
And the other one that kind of stood out for me because of it's going to, okay, so this is going to may sound a little weird, but Sort It All Out. Uh-huh. I really liked it because it sounds kind of like Gary Glitter and Norman Greenbaum met and wrote a song, but I like because I don't mind the music from Rock and Roll Part 2 and I don't mind the music from Spirit in the Sky, but I don't like the vocals on either song. But I like this because I like the vocals on this and I like that it's like those two songs met and had a kid.
Yeah, that's exactly the case. And that's funny because the Norman Greenbaum part is actually me doing it.
Oh, cool.
Because Robert was on tour. He was in Europe. He tours a lot with a woman named Dana Kurtz, really great songwriter. He was on tour with her. And like, well, I'll put this stuff down, just an idea, and he'll do a better version of it.
Okay.
And he came, like, no, that's done. I'm like, really? No. And the funny part is what I'm really going for, more than Spirit in the Sky, is if you know the song Magic by the Cars.
Yes.
He does a tribute to Spirit in the Sky in that, or Elliot Easton. There's one part is like upside down. And he's obviously, so I'm actually mimicking Norman Greenbaum.
Oh, that's so cool. I never
just to give props where it's due.
That is,
and and as far as Gary Glitter and vocals go, it's probably no mistake that, or no accident, the only hit he ever had is the instrumental B-side where he yells, "Hey." Yeah,
exactly.
And it's funny because, you don't really want to name check Gary Glitter a lot these days.
No, not at all.
But that was like, it was funny because that just became like, the song at every sporting event for years too,
Yeah.
Because I remember trying to reference that to a band member when I was first living here, and they were like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "You watch sports?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And I remember, that song, yeah. Like,
yeah. And the other song is All That Matters Now. That is such a great, like, very tender song on an album that's filled with rocking songs. It's just very, very tender song. I really enjoy that.
should wake up and this is all just a dream. Hope I forget all these things I've seen. Just remember what you mean to me, 'cause that's all that matters now. Yeah, that's all that matters now.
It's probably my first, definitely my first love song without a get out clause in the last verse. And I was very worried about that because it's like, it's a really true based thing on between me and my wife. And, like I said, we've had this health thing going on for quite a while. And, all of that is definitely true, that song, But it's funny, my drummer's wife, when she was driving around listening to he burned her a CD of the record when we first got it done. And she like sent me a text while she goes, "You're writing love songs." And that's right. You're writing love songs that aren't mean. I was like, well, Hey. So that's a really, and it's funny because to me, I worried that song was too specific to our world. And then Robert was like, no, because I think anybody who doesn't know the specifics of your situation could just hear it as a love song. And because if somebody in Nashville heard it, they might actually record it as just a love song.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was good to have an outside perspective on that, because I might not have put it on, not because it wasn't a rock song, but because I might have thought it was too specific. But that's the thing, when you're writing it, it's like, you can't see the picture if you're in the picture.
Exactly. Like you mentioned, I'm not aware of the situation, so to me it just comes across as a beautiful love song. So
good, I did my job then.
Yes. So you mentioned that all of your band is out working with other people right now. When are you planning on taking this on tour? We're
going to do a brief East Coast run in June.
Oh, nice.
We're doing right now. We have like 3 things, but we're doing a place. We're doing the Parkside Lounge in New York City on Houston Street.
Okay.
On June 9th. And we're doing a place called 118 North on the mainline area of Philadelphia in Wayne on June 11th.
Okay.
I think we're doing a private thing in Pittsburgh the next night. I'm still hustling. We had some rerouting things and some gigs fell through, so I'm trying to get some stuff on the way there and back. We're playing in Nashville on June 14th. That's the last night of that run.
Okay.
And then hopefully in the fall, we'll be doing more.
Oh, good.
More extensive thing. That
was going to be my next question is you planning on expanding on that? So that's good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's just, booking is really hard since the pandemic. Well, like the places that were lucky enough to stay open, they got to make money every night. They're trying to make up things, and they're just less likely to take a chance on somebody they don't know who they are or they can't.
Yeah.
Sorry. Guarantee a draw, So it's rough out there. It's getting, it's a lot of people are looking at more alternative. Like we might be playing a private event in Pittsburgh, playing in a beauty shop.
Oh wow,
that's fine.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
I played a duo gig about 10 years ago in Roanoke, Virginia. Just me and Robert playing a two guitar vocal duo gig in a yarn store in Roanoke, Virginia, and I'm now married to the woman who owned the store.
Oh, wow.
So you don't want to turn down any gig. The weirder gigs can sometimes be the most fruitful in the long run.
That's so true. That's awesome. Well, I live a little outside of D.C., so if you guys come down my way, I would love to see a show. So,
where you at?
I live in Winchester.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to get something in DC right now, actually. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah, if you got any suggestions, let me know.
Oh man, I've got a bunch. I'll text you after this. Shoot me an email, and I'll send you a list.
That would be great. I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. So, where can people find the album? How can they buy it and help support you until you tour?
Oh, the best bet is to get it on Bandcamp. It should be or will be up on all the streaming services very shortly. It's out just on vinyl and streaming services. Okay. It was one of those things where you had to make a decision between Are we going to make it on vinyl or CD? And I was going back and forth, and like, you can't get a straight answer out of anybody about either one. So a friend of mine said, why don't you put it out how you want to experience it, which is on vinyl. So it's out now. Order from Bandcamp. We send it to you ourselves. If you wanted autographed or anything like that, just include a note on there. We'll do that for you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Actually, just a day or two after you order it. And like I said, it's up on all the streaming services. There's a video for the song "Start Again." Right now, it's on Americana Highways exclusively, and I think sometime this week it'll go full global everywhere.
Awesome.
So yeah, and most all of my older stuff is up on all of it's up on Spotify and all those sites there. But yeah, buying it from the artist, or in this case Bandcamp, is really the best way that we get the most. And there's also that Bandcamp Friday, the first Friday of every month, and you get all the money, which is really nice.
Yeah. That's nice.
Bandcamp's turned to be a really good deal that like really bloomed during the pandemic.
Yes, it really did.
Everybody.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, that's really my suggested way to get it. But anyway, or even better, come to a gig and buy it from us. We'll hand it to you right there and sign it in front of you.
Well, speaking of that, is there a social media presence where people can follow you and learn about gigs?
Yeah, we have a website at danmontgomerymusic.com. Although it's kind of understaffed right now. The guy who works on it is away right now. So that's a little, but just Facebook is always your best bet. There's a Dan Montgomery, just a Dan Montgomery music page. And I'm trying to get that up to snuff with looking more like a substitute for a real web page in the meantime.
All right.
Either of the Dan Montgomery pages, the sites, the dates will all be up on there, and any, I'll be posting when this airs and stuff like that. Right now we're in this like media blitz, which I've never had before. So it's like I'm almost kind of embarrassed to keep posting things, but it's like I was ratcheting around for stuff in the past, so I'll take it.
Yeah, hey, repetition is what sticks, man.
Well, yeah, it's funny. I finally figured out what an influencer is. Oh, because we have a guy there's a guy who's my plumber, right? And him and his wife are really hip people here in the Memphis like garage rock scene, right?
Oh, okay.
In fact, he's so hip he's not even on Facebook or anything, right?
Oh,
but I've known him for years. He came and he had to work on something in our house, and I gave him a copy of the album on the way out.
Yeah.
So it was like last week, and a couple of days ago, he sent me a text saying how much he really liked the record, and he's Australian, so it's very Australian, hey mate, right. It was really great. I was really touched on. And then a couple of days later, his wife put this thing up on Facebook going like, wow, you really hit it out of the park. And I swear to God, like within a half an hour, 5 like really Memphis Midtown hipsters ordered the record. They'd have always kind of dismissed me as being like, oh, I thought you were more like Dan Fogelberg or something.
Oh.
So I looked at my wife. I was like, that's what an influencer is.
Yes.
That's what they do. Now I get it.
I got to meet those people.
Yeah, really.
I could use them too.
and good plumbing. Yeah. Literally win-win.
Exactly.
There's a lot of publicists out there. Many are good, but there's not a lot of good plumbers.
That's true. That is so true. Dan, thank you. This has been a blast. Thank you so much for.
Oh man, thank you so much. Really appreciate this.